truth and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Do you remember the day that the pig's houses blew down?
Yes, I remember it well. It was my grandmother's birthday.
What were you doing that day?
I was planning on baking my dear old grandmother a cake and then go take it to her.
Did you bake this cake?
No, I was all ready to bake it, but I did not have any sugar.
When you learned that you needed more sugar for the cake, what did you do?
To save some time, I decided I would borrow it rather than go to the store. The store is so far away. So I went over to Straw Pig's house to see if I could borrow it.
What happened after you knocked on Straw Pig's door?
I told him I wanted to get some sugar for my dear sweet granny, and suddenly a sneezing spell attacked me. I couldn't stop my sneeze. I went, ah.
Then what happened?
The house wiggled and wobbled, I tell you. It looked like my mom was Jell-O. And without warning, the house just collapsed.
When the house collapsed, did you go inside?
There wasn't any inside left. It was all lying on the floor.
What did you find?
I found a pile of straw with Straw Pig's curly tail sticking up smack dab in the middle of the pile.
What did you do next?
I tried to see whether Straw Pig was okay. He wasn't. He was already dead, and I didn't see any good reason to leave Straw Pig just laying there to rot in the forest. You see, I hadn't had breakfast, so I ate him.
Straw Pig's dead or alive when you ate him?
He was dead. He'd already died. It's a crime to kill him, so I would have done that. I followed the law. I'm a good citizen.
What did you do next?
I went to Stick Pig's house because I still had to borrow sugar for my dear old sweet granny's birthday cake, and time was running out.
What did you do at Stick Pig's house?
I knocked on the door and told him I needed to borrow some sugar for my dear grandmother's cake.
What did he say?
The little pig wouldn't even come to the door, and he started calling my grandmother some names.
So what did you do?
You know all that dust from the sticks and wood by his front door?
Yes.
Well, that dust got into my big honker of a nose and just made me start sneezing. I couldn't stop sneezing. I went, achoo! And you know what? You won't believe this. His house tumbled down as if you had a fistful of sticks and let them go. It was just like Straw Pigs blew down. I couldn't believe the poor construction of these houses.
Not true. That's not true. I'm a master craftsman. It took all afternoon to build that masterpiece.
Sit down and be quiet, Mr. Pig. Bailiff, please make sure Mr. Pig does not make any more distractions in my room. Please control your witness, Mr. Attorney. Yes, Your Honor. You may continue, defense attorney. What happened then?
I walked through the rubble to see where he kept the sugar, but I didn't see any sugar. And there was Stick Pig just lying dead in the middle of what probably used to be his bedroom.
So, what did you do?
He wasn't moving. He was dead in the middle of the forest. Someone was right. It was a hot day. He would be stinky and smelly if I hadn't eaten him. I was awfully disappointed not finding any sugar, so I just ate him. I hadn't had that much to eat before I went out that morning. I still had some room in my tummy, so I ate him rather than trying to carry his heavy porker on my shoulders and take him home.
What did you do next?
I got over feeling bad about not finding any sugar at Stick Pig's house. So I went over to Brick Pig's house because I still had to borrow some sugar to bake my sweet old granny a cake.
What did you tell Brick Pig?
I knocked on Brick Pig's door and asked him if he would come to the door so I could borrow some sugar and bake my granny a cake.
Then what happened?
Brick Pig said, "Get out of here, Wolf. Don't bother me again." Then he yelled, "And your old granny can sit on a pin." Well, I'm usually a pretty calm, easygoing wolf. But when somebody talks nasty about my granny like that, I go a little crazy. So I started rattling the door. Boy, was I angry. Then, when the cop drove up, of course I was trying to break down this pig's door. The whole time I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and wheezing and making a real scene.
Did you intend to eat Brick Pig?
Absolutely not. All I wanted was to borrow some sugar. Besides, at that point my tummy was full.
No further questions, Your Honor. Your witness, Mr. Attorney. Do you remember that little girl with a red riding hood that lived on the edge of the forest a few years ago?
Objection! This question has nothing to do with the matters involving my claim and the pig. We object and ask that this question be removed from the transcript.
Your Honor, I believe. Objection sustained. District Attorney, you will not ask these questions. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will disregard and ignore this question. Or you will indicate this question as being struck from the record. District Attorney, you may continue. You like the way pigs taste, don't you? Pork chops, ham sandwiches?
I guess so.
Did you ever tell any pigs in the forest that you would huff and puff and blow their houses down?
Of course not. I would never try to scare anybody like that.
You admit that you were rattling the Big Pig's door when the police drove up, don't you?
Yes. I already said that, didn't I?
In fact, when the police drove up to the Big Pig's house, you were trying to break down the door. In fact, you were in fact huffing and puffing.
That's true, but I was angry because of the way Big Pig talked about my granny, and I was huffing and puffing because of my allergies.
When is your granny's birthday, Mr. Wolf?
Well,
You can't remember when your grandmother's birthday is, can you?
well, no, not right now, but that's just because I'm so nervous.
You don't want to go to jail, do you?
Of course not.
And you'd say anything to keep from going to jail, wouldn't you?
I wouldn't say anything that isn't true. You have to tell the truth when you're in court.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Me